back to Latitude's Gallery Story Series. We have Stephanie Hogue and Steve Munch, the gallery photographers, with us today talking about their favorite images. Stephanie will be sharing with us one of her favorite subjects that takes a lot of effort to accomplish, and it is Anacapa Island. So she's going to be sharing some of her favorites from there. So, Stephanie, tell us what we're looking at.
Get that dog off my
It
boat.
looks like we're looking at my dog that I love so much. Callie had come out on a lot of the trips out to the Channel Islands with us, and when I went to go put pictures together, that's what I grabbed.
Because that back there? Is that Steve?
That's no, that's Jim, my husband.
Oh, okay.
He was driving the boat that day. This is a more recent trip because I wanted to talk about the latest photograph that I got at Anacapa, which I had been wanting to do for a long time and had to get the right gear. There it is right there, the under over with the kelp and the beautiful arch, that iconic arch out there at Anacapa that you can see from the shore on a clear day. So many people love that view from the coastline, but this is on the other side of it looking back towards Ventura. Just from all the years of us photographing out at the islands, and Steve usually was the one in the water doing the water shots. He has the photograph below it that is of Anacapa Arch from the water that he captured so many years ago, was one of our all-time favorites. And I just loved that water perspective. Through the years, you know, we've had people wanting pictures of the kelp and just to really capture the whole experience out there when you're out on the water and you look down, there's this beautiful golden kelp, and Steve has a spectacular close-up of the golden kelp that I love, and that shot there really gives you a sense of what you see from the boat when you're looking down on the water. We just had this vision of like having that under over perspective while you're in the water, and it takes a lot of trips out there to get the right day, and you really want that calm, glassy water. And this is that perfect day. Jim and I took the boat out there. We took Callie, and she got to swim and paddleboard, and we had a lot of fun. And but with that glassy water, which is so rare out there, it's really hard to get the perfect day. I jumped in with my new underwater housing and and swam over, and was super excited that I got the shot that I was hoping to get, because like I said, that is not easy. And often when we go over there, the current coming through there can be so strong that you jump in the water and you kind of get swept away. So it's not something you can do on any day. When I got this shot, I was super proud because it was sort of what I had envisioned. For me, just captures that beauty of that area and how gorgeous it is with kelp sort of reaching up. But it was funny, as I was swimming through it and I'm lugging the big housing, I'm getting like tangled in the kelp and trying to get over to where I want to shoot and compose the arch just right. And it was just a really challenging and rewarding photograph for me. You know, we've been going out to the islands so many years, and we have so many different versions of that beautiful island. It's always different with different seasons and different weather. You know, you go out and maybe we have this in mind, but it's not doable that day, so you go try for something else. And this shot with the spring flowers, those are only there for a short time during the year. So each shot is so special and precious. You can't just go out any day and get that. That's a unique day. And when you get one, you're just so happy to check that off the list and feel like, oh, I got something really special. So yeah, that's one of my favorites.
And I think a big thing, just listening to it, Stephanie, and kind of reliving it, from where you started, you know, starting as a wedding portrait photographer, and I felt like I kind of pulled you in and kind of forced you out of your comfort zones a little bit, because
Yep.
You mentioned going out to the islands. I always kind of took that on myself, being a waterman, you know, and surfing and diving, and I was very comfortable in the water where you really weren't. What's really impressive to me is once I moved to Kauai and you kind of lost that partner on the boat, because it's much easier to be a deckhand on a boat than it is a captain. you're responsible for yourself, for everybody on the boat to get back safely. And
Yep.
out there is dangerous. That's get back
Yep.
alive is a proper statement. But to see that you pushed yourself and to get out there on those days, and then, like I say, those are extremely difficult shots. They're extremely difficult. The odds
Yeah.
of going out there, that might be 10 trips to get lucky enough to have the current. That area
Definitely.
especially is really known for current, which lays the kelp down. So that shot
Yeah.
doesn't even look like that, 363 days a year, because the kelp typically doesn't make it to the surface because it's laid sideways from this ripping
Right.
current in that area. So I
Yeah.
definitely applaud you in pushing yourself. And even that one day that you went up and got that shot there on Anacapa,
Yeah.
like that day was gnarly. That day right
That
there
was
looks like this
crazy.
wonderful day of flowers and peaceful, but that was a huge swell. And I remember
Yeah.
you jumped off the bow of the boat at the last second to grab onto the ladder before the boat smashed into
Right.
the thing. It was something I would never have done. No way.
Yeah, the poor Billy was he drove me over in the
Yeah.
dark
Yeah.
before dawn.
Yeah.
We left and the sun was coming up and we were trying to, it's such a dicey island, like, right,
So
it's this
dicey in there.
weird, I know, it's this
Big
tiny
surge,
little
it
cove.
drops down like 10 feet. It
Yep.
surges in there. You feel like the boat's going to smash into it, which it will if you're not,
Yeah,
still
and I did.
that
I had to really
really
like
is.
grab onto the ladder, and I had my tripod on my back and my camera gear,
Yeah.
and just climb up the ladder.
And
And then you've got
basically
like,
just dropped out, and
yeah,
you hung on, and then Billy had to get out of there. And the whole thing was for Billy was going to go out there, just do this nice little drop off with you, and then go fishing for a few hours, and then come back and pick you up.
right.
And he
was
called
crazy.
me, and he was like shaking, and he was like, "That was the scariest thing I've ever done." Like, and then I called Stephanie, and she's on the island, and it's all just normal to her. And I'm like, "Wow, where did that from?"
I wasn't sure. I just thought that was normal. Here, jump up on the ladder.
Yeah.
But by the time I got
crazy.
up there, that still is a standout, one of my most favorite days ever out shooting, because that's the only way to get on that island. And really, it's only the controlled tour groups that come over later in the day with the bigger boat that they can latch on and get that thing situated in there. And some days they won't even do it because it's too dangerous. But I do remember being up there.
That would have been one of those days. That day was crazy. I remember.
It might have been. But at sunrise, to come up on the top of that island and really truly be like the only person on the entire island, I just felt like the most adventurous soul I was having.
Yeah.
I felt like a kid. I'm like running around. I'm like, I'm the only one up here. Like, it was amazing. And then to have it be such a beautiful
I think if you had
day.
more knowledge of the dangers of what you're actually entering, you probably wouldn't do it today. I wouldn't
Maybe
do
not.
it,
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's that little sense of naiveness that you really
sometimes
don't, what
that's
you don't
good.
know that can kill you. Can kill you. Yeah.
Can kill
Until you
you.
fall in, get crushed, eaten by a seal or something.
It's a good story. I lived. I'm
let's
alive.
talk about that dog.
The dog again.
Too. Yeah, Callie.
Where's the ride back? Of course, this one was years ago. There at the bottom. That's the shot I want to see again. That one.
But I remember
Callie.
the first time. Yeah, there you go. I remember the first time we introduced Callie to the boat. Like she was going everywhere with you as a puppy, and like your shadow. And we brought her down to the boat, and she was like a wet cat getting on there. She was so scared,
she
wanting
was
to.
So scared.
She kept jumping back onto the dock, and we didn't purge her. And then, it wasn't too long that she got very comfortable on that boat and would run down the dock, jump on, and then
right on.
She got ridiculous. Then she's riding in the captain's seat. I remember flying over and going on the boat with you, and you mentioned that that's actually her seat that I'm sitting in, and I had to go sit in the back while this dog
you're gonna have to move.
But one of the things I love, that's what she's doing right there. But she would, before we would ever visually spot dolphin or whales, that dog would know they were there. You would actually start looking for dolphin pods or whales because you would see her
she was alert.
Yep. Fly
I always
out
wondered
of the seat and run to the bow.
I never knew if it was the scent or the sound, but one of those things that we couldn't detect, she did, and she always would be like, "They're coming."
Yep. Many times she would alert and run to the bow, and that would get me looking in all directions.
Look at her. That's her alert stance.
Yep. Or then she'd be up on the bow barking, and the dolphins would be really interested in that. Like you'd see them, they would be up riding with the bow wake, rolling on their side and looking
turning
at her.
to the side and looking at her.
Yeah,
that was always so fascinating and fun to watch, that interaction. You could tell they were just as curious about her. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, she became one heck of a boat dog.
She was such a boat dog. That dog,
she's very comfortable.
Loved the boat. There. Yeah, and always a good towel.
Right there.
Well, she had swam that day. She jumped in and swam in the water, so we had, of course.
There's a lot of dogs that swim.
She needed a warm towel.
Dogs that swam every day of their life, but they never had a warm towel around them.
Nice towel, tuck in. Little tuck in for the ride back.
They actually would shake. I don't know if you know this about dogs, but they will actually shake themselves off. They don't need a towel wrapped around them and looking like that. That's so. That's not a dog. I don't know what that thing is.
She thought she was human.
She really did.
Aw, we miss her.
So that dog became an amazing boat dog.
Well, I just want to touch on the fact that these images that you highlighted today, Stephanie, are actually some of our top images for Anacapa Island in the gallery with customers. And so it's always fun when a customer asks, "Do you have any pictures of Anacapa Island?" And then I open up this entire collection of all of these amazing images. And it is always fun to see them gravitating back to these images. This one is my personal favorite.
This one is just so spectacular, and I'm so bummed it's not mine. It is Steve's.
Yeah. and that one I actually slept on the boat overnight there for a sunrise shot.
Because it is hard to get out there for sunrise, because it's a long way across, about 45 minutes. So in the dark, and then you want to be set up and in the spot for sunrise. So that was pretty smart to sleep out there. Just gorgeous. I wish this one was mine. Can I sign it?
Sure.
Very good.
Take it. It's funny on these images that we get to a point where we don't know who shot them. I do a lot of our ordering. So when a customer orders something, and I'll take care of the cropping and what material it's going on to, and then I'll add the signatures. And a lot of times I go to sign a piece, and then I have to question myself, is that mine?
So I do adore this image that you've highlighted, Stephanie. It's one of my favorites to offer to clients in the gallery because it's such a unique perspective. And we all know how hard it was for you to have accomplished that, but the clients really seem to be floored by it. So good job. Excellent work on that one.
And one thing just real quick, one thing that people might not understand unless you're a photographer and you've studied composition or you've been blessed just to be gifted with it, is that's an amazing composition. It's one of those things that's so pleasing to the eye where it comes in from that top left corner, but it has the foreground in the front coming in from that right corner. It's like that thing is, you couldn't shoot anything more perfect. And then you take the difficulty of actually shooting in the water with a giant glass dome where you're freezing cold. You have to keep the top of that glass dry or you get water spots and distort on it. I mean, I look at that right there and I say that took a lot of work, took a lot of
forethought.
Hard,
and really just keeping it halfway out of the water, it's kind of hard to lift it out of the water as much as you need, and focus.
Heavy camera, so
there's a lot. Yeah, it was a lot harder
there's
than
so much.
I mean, shooting in the water for me is harder than I thought it would be, but I do love it. I think that might be why it's so rewarding when I get something that I really love. Is like, it was hard.
Yeah.
I would be extremely proud. I'd move on personally because I understand the challenges of that, and that's kind of like, but it's kind of like foamy flute or other things. Is that it's so mentally exhausting. It's draining. It's that once you get it, there's no reason to pursue it anymore. You just kind of move on to the next thing that
the next challenge, the next big challenge. Yeah. So
well done. Good job.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.